You have found Firebirds Weekly, a show about everything Firebirds. Thank you for stopping by. Game analysis, highlights, stats and trends. Firebirds Weekly, beyond the headlines. Tonight's guests are Nick Vennard and Ben Nelson. Here are your hosts, Adam Samroff and Chris Sipperly.
Welcome to Firebirds Weekly, episode number 7. We are in a very special location today. We are filming this show at the MVP Arena, home of the Albany Firebirds of the AF1. I am joined by my co-host, Adam Samroff. Today's guests are Ben Nelson of the Albany Firebirds, as well as Nick Vennard of the Albany Firebirds. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Chris, thank you so much for having us. We're psyched to be here.
Definitely. Excellent. So we wanted to, get a chance for our Albany Firebird fan base to get to know two of the more important people in the organization that don't put on jerseys. Ben is the director of media, and Nick is the director of Gameday operations and community relations. So Nick, your second year with the Firebirds, and talk a little bit about getting into your role as the director of Gameday operations.
Absolutely. First of all, once again, Adam, thanks so much for having me. Kind of get to my role here. I went to Oneonta, got my bachelor's in sport management and marketing, became an intern at the Amsterdam Mohawks, did a little game day operations there to kind of get my feet in the door, needed some credit. Then I went over to the Albany Firewolves to kind of give me that big step as a stage manager. Jaden over there, the director of game ops, did such a good job at giving me, a platform to kind of build myself on. Then I actually knew Ben, our director of media from high school, reached out to him. Then, once we found out the Albany Firebirds were coming back, I reached out to him, see if there's any positions open. And, with my game day operations experience, this opportunity lined up.
All right. So I wanted to ask, talk about kind of doing that for the Perfect Game Baseball League, the Mohawks in Amsterdam. Talk about what that entailed in terms of doing that. Again, that's also sports, but it's outside. Talk about the difference between doing things in the arena and how that kind of does it for your job.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when you're outside of a stadium, you got to prepare for the weather. So I think that's a huge advantage that we play inside an arena. Mm-hmm. And I think just kind of the layout, you can see all the fans kind of getting that excitement. Baseball, was a good opportunity to try to learn and grow on how to execute a perfect game, right? Because it's so long and it takes a requirement each inning on what to do, step by step for what promos. So I think coming into arena, definitely the weather was a factor. For the going from outside to inside.
Okay. I did some, like I said, looked up your bio and did some research and stuff and saw that you played football and lacrosse in high school. Did you go to Colony as well?
I did. I went to South Colony.
Okay. Just talk about your love of the game and obviously lacrosse and football. And, lo and behold, we have the Firewolves and the Firebirds here at MVP Arena. Just talk about, the ability to come in and be a part of this kind of world here.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm super thankful to be where I'm at today. With lacrosse, I was a captain all 7-8 years I played, all the way up until college. Was a captain there at Hudson Valley Community College. And then football, I played 14 years from, flag all the way up to varsity, stopped there. So I know just how much goes into one game, and it takes a lot behind the scenes, but once again, super thankful to be where I'm at.
So at Oneonta, you got a degree in sports marketing and management. How did you, what was your initial goal like for that? And then how does it translate to what you do on a daily basis or a game day basis here?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So, I had a couple different classes, including like sports marketing, day in life of sports, Professor Hazard, Dr. Fierke, two names I'll never forget there, who kind of gave me the information of how I can take that into the real world. Mm-hmm. And I still use those steps in my job today. Like sports marketing, there's certain ways you got to do it. So I'll never forget that from Dr. Fierke and Professor Hazard.
Now, when you fast forward just a little bit into the actual game day. So mm-hmm. what does, obviously we know that the games are, on this day, but what kind of things and what kind of work and what kind of preparations go into you actually getting that product and actually getting it to where you want it to be. And then from there, what's your process to improve week to week?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll kind of give you guys a layout of what I do. So I write the whole game day script, which is all the on-field contestants, what we're throwing up on the jumbo board, all of our sponsors. So our sponsors are a huge shout out to them. We couldn't do this without them. My job is to execute that, right? So to have that run of show. I also write the PA script. Scott does a great job. And then I write quarterly. So kind of for interns and someone who doesn't need to know what's going up on the jumbo board, and those are just the on-field. That's what goes into it day to day. So I have all these stuff to cover, just like, planning our national anthem singer, color guard. So, making sure we have fireworks for that game, for the intros for the players, all these little steps and little logistics to go into one game.
Yeah, and that's something that, like you said, like, that you don't really have fireworks at the Mohawks game. I would imagine this is like every game for those things. What would you say is the hardest thing in your role in terms of making sure that, okay, it's like you said, you use the term stage manager, and anybody that's done drama or theater knows that's like, you want to hit those cues, you need to hit those cues, and 2 seconds, it's like, oh, they don't go off yet. Like, what's the kind of the hardest thing of your day?
Yeah.
I guess maybe, on a game day, but also in the prep for the game day.
Gotcha. So prep would be just to make sure we have everything that we need. Like I said, there's a lot to go in it. National anthem singer, color guard, like ton of stuff to go into it. Make sure we have all the bags, the prize packs for the winners. But that's kind of the hardest part of it. And then what was the second? The game day stuff, and then the game day stuff. Like when you're on an actual game day, and it's like, okay, it's kind of like action, right.
Like
definitely timing. My scripts are down to the 15-second mark.
Yes, I've seen them. Yep.
Yeah. So they're very detailed. Yep. I wish I had one to show you guys. But they're, pregame, they're by 15 seconds. Sometimes they're by 5 seconds. So just making sure we hit those marks, and that's probably the hardest part, making sure to fit all of that in one game. The game seems long, but when you're behind the scenes, it's very quick.
I was going to say, it seems like it'd be something where, the ball's kicked off, and by that point, you've already done hours of work, and then the game goes 2.5 hours, and then you got another hours of work after that to kind of figure everything out, and then reflect on, okay, what went well, what didn't, and then what's for next week, how we're going to do it again next week.
Yeah, actually, so kind of a fun fact, Bo, who does a wonderful job, does our camera production here, he'll send me the game, and I will go back, and right after the game, I will watch to see what I can improve on, and try to make the experience so much better for the fans. So one time I was here till 1 a.m. I'm just studying, 1:30, studying, just seeing what I can do to improve and make everyone have the best time possible.
Now, when you look at those things and you prepare going forward, this question may be hard to answer, but how much do you look around in other leagues or other experiences that you've had as a fan that kind of hopefully pull in from some inspiration in terms of what you guys do here? Or is that something that you kind of, try to keep as original as possible?
Yeah. I definitely take factors from I wouldn't say other leagues necessarily, more teams. Seeing, if there's a in-game promo that I think our fans would like. I just don't, throw something out there. I want our fans to align with it, and I want them to have, I can relate to that.
Right.
So that's how I kind of go off of that. I wouldn't say I related to other leagues, but definitely teams.
Well, the other thing too is I think, and this kind of hopefully, takes us where we want to go, but you're also tasked with community engagement.
Correct.
And the big thing is, at least from what I can see, is there's a huge amount of community involvement that just goes into your game day and in-game promotion. Yeah. Can you speak to how important you believe this team, or how important this team in the game itself that really means something to the community?
Absolutely, and that's kind of where it all starts, is out in the community. Obviously we have a really loyal fan base, but just to go out in the community and just give them the best who we are, the best experience. Like, who are we? Ben does a great job at helping me, coming to all the events. We got Spike, shout out to Spike. Yeah. Best mascot in the AF1.
Yeah, I would have him on, but he doesn't say much. So
yeah.
Flaps around quite often.
Yeah. Right. So, no, they do a great job. And I think that's definitely a huge part of, our team. Once a fan sees, then out in the public, sees us out in the public,
Mhm.
they may, come and support, and then they have the best experience the
Right.
best time.
Mhm.
So that's my job to make sure, that they have fun and, keep that sport going.
Especially with the mascot, and especially in the in-game experience, like there's a real chance that you can get a lifelong fan if you do it right.
Yeah.
And I know, like, from the times that you and I have spoke, and like I remember, going from the first game, just what should we do with Spike? Like, something as simple as that. How many hours did you spend just figuring out, okay, Spike would work better if we did this here, not there. Like, you really care, and it really shows your commitment to the team.
Yeah, thank you. I just, I don't want to. I don't have a range. I've had people ask me in Saratoga to come out, and I went. So I do care. I can't thank the Albany Firebirds organization enough. Mike Korda, Andy Gelcher, Richie Sesnet, Jeff Levac, for giving me this shot. So I want to take that and let everyone else kind of experience what the Albany Firebirds are.
So I want to talk about, what goes into a game day. So, what time do you get here in the morning or in the afternoon for a 7:00 game on a Saturday night? Take me a little bit through that process of what are you doing as you go along your day on a game day?
Yeah, Adam, let's start with the night before, right?
Okay,
So
let's do it. Yeah.
So it also, obviously it starts the whole week. Say it's a Saturday, it starts Monday if we had a Saturday night kickoff the week prior. But going from the night before, I make sure all of our scripts are good. Seeing, if our interns do anything. Also, huge shout out to our interns. They do a wonderful job at helping us. We could not do this without them.
How many interns do you have?
Last year we had 20, 22?
Yeah, something like that. I have around 7 to 10, and then you have what?
Around 10 to 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
As of right now, yeah.
Okay.
So
a good group of people that you really have to manage.
Absolutely, yeah. So I just make sure, kind of check on them, make sure everything's good, respond to emails, and then the most important thing, to run a show, the script. Make sure we have everything ready to go. And then I come in, say it's a 7:00 kickoff. I'm here usually 7:30 latest on game day, and just I print them out and I read that script probably 150 times. I go over that, make sure it aligns with the PA script. So a lot of reviewing, not necessarily the prep. The prep comes earlier in the week, but taking that run a show, lining it with the quarterly and the PA script, make sure the script to make sure Scott has what he has, and make sure all the timing aligns so nobody gets confused. And then just kind of checking on people throughout the day, having my phone available if anyone needs me.
Well, this is going to be a big year too, because you're going to ultimately have to take on a little bit more too. I would assume, with Vice being involved.
Absolutely.
So yeah, attention to detail is not optional in your job for sure.
And how is having Vice as a partner now? Does it change your thing, and how does it change your work?
Yeah, that is a great question. So, being on TV from not being on TV, actually, it does change. So, for example, when we weren't on TV last year, I was the one to call the timeouts when we went to media break,
right.
And then hit those certain marks. Once we're on TV, the broadcasters actually decide. So I'm the one, just next to the red hat, who's the red hat is the one who communicates to the white hat on the field. So they choose. So it does vary, being on TV versus not being on TV.
Okay. Is there any, I kind of, my thought was today, I was thinking of some questions, and I was wondering if there's any horror stories of something that you can relate that's like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. Maybe it worked out, in the end, but like at the moment you're just like, holy crap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you relate to any of those stories?
I can, unfortunately. Obviously, I want everything to be perfect. One time I ran way too late. I forgot what game it was. I think it was against Southwest Kansas, maybe.
Probably, yeah.
I forgot what game it was, but we were like, I look at the clock and we're like 17 minutes behind. And I'm like, how could this happen? You spend all that time prepping and you want to make it perfect, and then that time comes. But we had, situations where I had to go fix something, that I had to resolve. And by that time, it's, 5 minutes is like that. So I did have that 17. I'll never forget that number now. 17 minutes late, and yeah.
So what did you do? Did you have to try to cut something else or a promotion out, or how did you work your way back to the timing as best you could?
Absolutely, great question again. So I definitely had to cut some stuff out, and what cut the non-sponsor stuff. Sponsors
Of course.
mean everything to us.
Mhm.
So I would take some of our game or our in games and substitute them for a jumbo because I have backups just to make sure, like with the fillers, the backups, to make sure to keep the fans involved.
So what is the jumbo? You use that
the
term. What is
jumbotron.
that?
It's
Jumbotron.
Jumbotron. Sorry,
Okay.
I call it jumbo. But so I definitely had to cut an on-field promotion because the refs needed to speed it up to hit that mark. So
Okay.
So what?
And I wanted to go. I just wanted to go the other
Yeah,
way.
absolutely.
I didn't mean to cut you off,
No,
but I
you're
wanted to
good.
go the other way.
Yeah.
You told us a horror story. Tell me about one where you were like, "Bang, that hit," and the fans loved it, and it looked really good, and damn it, that was the thing.
All right, I'm gonna have to go with the Orlando motorcycle entrance.
Okay, explain the Orlando motorcycle entrance for those who did not see the Orlando motorcycle.
So if you did not see, our dancers came out on motorcycles. So I had to go in and make sure that the time aligned. I had to run it a little bit early, which is fine, which is great. It was perfect timing. And motorcycles came in 2 laps. They came off. They did a wonderful job. The American Legion riders. I'll never forget their name. And then came off. The timing was perfect. Our dancers had a great performance. We had a good game. Everything went perfect that game on my end from the script side. So I'll never forget that one.
So what do you do as a planner when the game goes into overtime?
It's a great question. So if the game goes into overtime, I like to take that opportunity to let the fans kind of hype themselves up.
Yeah, drive the ship, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not really more focused on what we have. Like, I obviously want to keep them entertained, but overtime is already entertaining. Right. So, just kind of let them carry. I let the fans carry because we have a wonderful fan base and they get so hyped up, which is great.
So if you can, do you have any special promotional things that's going on that year? Or if you can't release, that's fine. But is there anything you can release in terms of things that have been talked about in terms of promotional stuff that you're going to be doing this year, or even this first couple of weeks of the AF1 year?
I don't know at this point. I wish I did. We're still waiting for the next couple of weeks for that one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, we'll be more to come.
More to come. Absolutely.
Pay attention to the nest. Pay attention to our podcast. I'm sure there'll be more to come.
Hopefully 2 weeks I can give you that answer.
All right, so in 2 weeks we got it. All right, and so now we want to go over to your colleague here, Ben. Doing some research for you. Came in working here with the Empire then as a social media intern, one of those 7 or 10 or 12 guys that you have for yourself now, and then hired on the next year in the social media, and then became a graphic designer working in that field. Just talk about your trek to Albany and where you came from. Like you said, Orleana, where did you go to school, and tell me a little bit about your path to get here to Albany.
Definitely. Yeah, so I am born and raised in Colony, went to Colony High School. I've always had a passion for local sports, went to Devils games, Valley Cats.
Oh, those Devils. Now there's a name. There's a name not to forget.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
The Albany Devils.
just a
The
little
River Rats.
I actually was a junior river rat.
Ooh.
Back at him, so I was a junior river rat.
There we go. I like it.
Just a little side note, there is still one piece of Devils memorabilia in this building, and there's a garbage can with a Devil sticker on it upstairs. So they still exist.
So born and raised in Colony, went to Colony High School. Always been a fan of local sports. But in 2018, when the Empire came, that's really when I was like, man, I love all this local sports stuff. So we went to every single game, and when that was here in 2018, 2019, we never missed a game, and it was awesome. And after it ended and everything in 2019, it was like heartbreaking because it's like you go to every single game, watch it on TV, meet the players, and it sucks. So when it came back in 2021, I was like, I got to be a part of this in some way. And I didn't know what, if it was helping with Gameday or doing anything. I just wanted to be a part of it. So in 2021, I kind of kept reaching out to different people. And at that point, they didn't even have a form on the website. So I kept reaching out just to be part of it and see. So they finally put it on the website, and I applied. And really, from that moment on, it was because it was a later season because of COVID. I think it started like May or something like that.
Yeah, right. It was difficult. I remember. Yep.
So my first event was going to the tryout in that year. Got to see all the players. We signed 2 players from that one. And then I went to all the games. My job on game day for internship, pretty much what it is now. Take photos, be part of the social media, graphic design, just like that. It helped me learn a lot of different stuff from that year. After that year ended, I applied to be an intern with the Albany Patroons.
Mm-hmm.
That is kind of similar to what I did at the Empire, but it was more of videography.
Yep.
So I did videography, photos, social media, graphic design, all that. And that was with Will Brown coaching, which was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
End of that year, I actually in the middle of that, I got a text from Jeff Levac, and he's like, "Are you interested in coming back?" So then we kind of talked about it, came to the office, and then I got hired part-time by the team, pretty much doing social media, helping out with the current social media manager and doing all these different stuff for the team.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it was I was full-time for, the Empire. I was also at Hudson Valley Community College while this was all going on.
So you're going to school and this all at the same time.
Yep.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and I was, kind of in classes, but my true passion was doing all this Empire stuff and doing the social media and doing all that. And that's where I learned it. I was in class working on stuff for the Empire because that's how much I loved it.
Right.
And every time I was done with the class, I would come to the office here, start working on stuff. So after that ended, I was entire off season. I got promoted for kind of run all the social media, in the graphic design side of it. After it ended in 2023, I got offered to run the social media for the Orlando Predators.
Okay, so they saw your work and was like, hey, would you be interested in coming down to Florida? I helped out a lot of it there, and it was great. And I went down to a game, and it was awesome. And after that ended, I think they lost in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I knew the Firebirds, there was talks of them coming back and all this different stuff. And I talked to Mike and everything, and it, kind of happened. Then I was hired director of media, and kind of the rest is where it is now. So
what was some of the differences in terms of how we do it up here versus how you did it in Florida? And I don't mean in a bad way. I mean, like, just, each team, I'm sure, has a different format, different way they want to run things, that kind of thing. What was hard? Was there things that was easy that were just kind of everything was the same, or was there ones where it was like, oh, they do it differently than we do up here?
Yeah. So back when it was in the NAL, so Albany and Orlando have always had, the biggest arenas. I think Jacksonville was also a big arena down there. But they play in the Kia Center, which is, where the Magic play. It's a huge arena. So when I first saw it, it was like, it's huge. It's bigger than this place. And they kind of put a little different from here is they put the players on the corners instead of in the center.
Okay, never noticed that.
So when we're in the end zone, kind of you're right there with the players.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool because all the players down there. Of course, some of the Empire players went down there.
Cisse and a few other guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And then
shout out to Cisse.
Definitely.
We January 28th, 7 p.m. The Nest, Albany Firebirds news. Brandon Cisse, defensive coordinator. Let's get a plug for that.
That was unintentional, but it worked. Yeah.
Definitely. So had all the great players on there, and really just nothing too different. They still do the script, they do all that stuff, they do the hype video. It's very similar here. The only main difference is probably the arena size, and if you want to go up to the second floor, you got to use an elevator. It's very, very different than it is here. For the arena side, but not too different on some of the other things.
Okay. Talk about your role, again, also on a game day, where you are, kind of directing traffic, same as Nick, like you're kind of directing traffic, but your traffic is like the local media, 6, 10, 13, the TU, all the newspapers and things like that. Just talk about your role on a game day and how you're working with the local media to help them out and do what they do.
Yeah, so my job is a lot of preparation and kind of just like a general thing of what I do. I run all the social media pages. I also handle all the local news contacts. So if we have breaking news, we write press releases, send it out to them. I also handle a lot of the ribbon board. So if you come to a game and you see, a sponsor on the ribbon board, there's a good chance that I made it. I also work with Bo a lot at the arena. He helps me out. The bottom halo of the Jumbotron and the Jumbotron itself. So that's all prep for that game. And then I also handle all the graphic design. So any of the ads we use, a good chance that I make it. And the interns also help out tremendously with that Gameday program as well. But when it comes down to game day, I'm here probably the same time Nick is here, around 8 a.m. And a big part of it is, ahead of time, our plan is to get the media passes done ahead of time. and we get that done, get everything done, but there's always something that we kind of got to work on. It's really, as long as you're prepped for game day, you're set. So 8 a.m. we're here, and making sure all the media passes are set. We put them in, kind of have a Google Doc. We print that out. We bring it down here to the media pass table, and we make sure everything's checked in. Throughout the day, the interns come in, and while we're preparing things, final things, and we go with our social plan. So we have a whole media run-of show. It's not as advanced as Nick's is, but it's where you got to be and then what time we're posting it. So, for example, at, let's say, 11 a.m., we're taking photos of the jerseys set up in the locker room.
Yep.
Say at 12 o'clock, we're going to post those photos. So you have a certain time range to get those photos together and post them. So then players come, let's say in the afternoon, around 2, 3 o'clock. We want to be there to get photos of them walking in.
Yeah, it's one of the favorite things you do, actually. That I think that you listen, all of us, ultimately end up spending time on social media, and there's a lot of good things that you can pull from it. And I think that's one of the better things. Well, you do a lot of good things, but I think people really enjoy seeing that.
Yeah, no, and they love it because the players dress up and they'll put the most crazy stuff on. We've had, people come with their dogs, with, wear jerseys, cowboy hats. And so
it's like that, was that kid from Buffalo, the Mac Hollins there. He wore a Fred Flintstone outfit and bare feet and
I was going to say,
Buffalo.
I've yet to see anybody walk into the arena with no shoes on. I have not
we
seen
have
that.
not seen that yet, but it gets pretty
maybe 2025, maybe that's the answer.
Definitely. It's pretty cool, and they enjoy it. So.
Adam, if I could jump in here.
Absolutely.
Going back to the prep before the game day with Ben, Ben and I sit down, and if there's something that I need on the jumbo board for, I don't know if you guys remember this, but favorite ice cream. Ben, if you want to kind of explain how you do that.
So we do a couple different ones. We did the favorite ice cream, the one with the the blow up thing. That was another thing.
Oh, the inflatable can.
Inflatable, yeah.
Inflatable.
So we make that, and then say it's the ice cream. We'll put cheer or boo, and then the next one we'll put a picture of whatever mint chocolate chip, and people are gonna cheer or boo, and kind of do that for each one. So make it up and put it on there. So
okay, yeah, it's that fan, like you said, that fan engagement. And even though you guys have kind of different roles, you really do have to work together.
Oh yeah, a lot to
make that happen. I do want to get. I wanted to ask a question. Trying as a member of the Empire, and how is that compared to even this with the Firebirds? Because we have have different new people kind of as in charge and that kind of thing. What was the difference in terms of just trying to work in that environment?
Yeah, so the Empire was great, and it was fun because we won all the championships, working the championship games and everything. But I feel like the main difference between the Empire and the Firebirds, there's something about the Firebirds that the fans just, when they hear Firebirds, they know it's something special to them. So Empire was great, but once the Firebirds were back, it's really, a lot more people are cheering at the games. And I noticed that, especially the home opener this year.
That was fantastic. I mean, you guys killed it. I was lucky enough to be there, and it was, much like how it used to be.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I could feel when we were down there, you could feel it, the energy.
It's different.
Yeah, from the Empire, it was awesome. The fans were great, but something about the Firebirds, the fans were just so excited about it.
So they actually wanted to ask you this, because this will be kind of what you did afterwards. So last year, we had the game where they were down 16 with whatever it was, 15 seconds left or 30 seconds left, and came back to win. What happened after that game? Obviously, you're probably getting into, okay, let me get ready. These guys will come in here. It'll be a loss, no big deal. We'll do our thing. Yep. And then, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, no, it gets crazy. And the thing with planning on game day for media, it's going up to game time, you can plan it out. But as soon as game time hits, it's well, we have 10 seconds left in the game, and we're oh, we might lose this. But then we come back, and then it's crazy, So making sure it's all prepped for, you have both sides. So make sure you have the winning side and the losing side, making sure that, okay, if we do lose, we have this. If we win, we have this. And just like that.
That end zone was electric. I remember I stand in the Zam tunnel right next to the Red Hat, and I just remember everyone turning around, popcorn flying all over the place. It was electric down there. And
then even during the end of that time, so we have all of our interns that help out a lot. Say there's a minute left, we're communicating. And we have our media room. We communicate and say, okay, you're going to stand here. You're going to stand here. Our photographer is going to stand there. And if we win, you're going to go out on the field and you're going to take photos of this. So everything's very planned out when it comes to that.
Okay. And then I also had a question too about, and before we got on, you were talking about, going on trips and different away events. How do you, what do you, or maybe you will help some of these other media organizations? So, media out of Orlando when we play the Predators, or, Nashville when we play the Cats, that kind of thing. Talk about, helping, working with some of the other media outlets that's not Albany.
Yeah, and the thing with the AF1 is we're really communicating throughout.
I was just going to ask you that question. Yeah. Yep.
So especially from the start of, AFU, they did it, but we do weekly meetings with all the social media people in the league, all the media people, and we all communicate different ideas. And, if someone has an idea, we kind of play off that. And it's all about planning and making sure everyone's on the same thing, on the same track. And, in the past, we never did that. So this year, we're really, everything's really much better.
No, we can see that because we talked to Gary Compton a few weeks ago on, I don't know, one of the episodes, and that was one of
episode 3.
Yeah. Geez, sorry. So I mean, he was just talking something simple as coaching meetings. Those didn't exist last year. And I'm glad that you said that, because that's kind of what it's starting to feel like. They're really starting to feel like there's a plan in place. And I think there's a lot of things, from a fan standpoint that they should be excited about. Yep. Because, listen, regardless of whatever league the Firebirds are in, I think everyone kind of knows what the standard is. But to be able to have a group of people that want Albany to be the floor is a great thing. Yep. And
it's great because, it's not just, social media does the meetings, but all of the different departments do the meetings and ticket sales. And it's good that everyone's on the same page. And, because if one team, all teams got to be good. It can't be just one team shining, So definitely.
What is it, you talk about the Firebirds, you talk about how the Empire and the Firebirds, and people hear the Firebirds, and people around here, we've been fans of them since the early 90s with Touchdown Eddie Brown and everything that came before. What does it mean to work for this kind of organization that is one of the top organizations, like you said, whether it's the NAL, AFL, AF1 that we are now? Talk about working for this organization and what that means. People take Albany and go, hey, this is one of the top organizations.
It's awesome because, working – because, technically, the Empire was kind of my Firebirds to a lot of people,
right.
But, working for a team in sports, especially, local, from Colony, from Albany area, it's great. And, helping out these other teams that are kind of new or maybe first year, it's awesome because, when one team is bad, the whole league isn't good. So as long as all the teams are good and helping them out, it's just awesome to work for this team. And knowing the people with the ownership and everyone in the front office, everyone from players to coaching staff, they're all great. And working for this team is just awesome.
No, it's good to see. And I don't mean to assume or anything, but my guess is that you probably hear from a lot of other people from other people from other teams that do similar job roles to you to kind of get some, I wouldn't say maybe some insight, but maybe some ideas. And I think going through your years, this is what, year 3 technically?
Yeah, it's technically, yeah.
So looking back over those years, was there one social media campaign that you're most proud of?
Yeah, I mean, I will say that the home opener for this year did very well, especially, doing a collab with all the AFL pages. And I think it was this whole home opener, history making and doing the pictures of the arena and all the fans coming in, that really did well on social media. And that was honestly my favorite thing. And honestly, those championships in the Empire were awesome, but that home opener this year really was exploded. It was great.
I have a question for both of you. And so Ben, if you want to answer first, and then you got Arkin, whatever, talk about the brawl at the mall.
Well,
how did that go for you guys? Being in a neutral spot, so obviously you're trying to put some stuff together, I'm sure, between you and the Billings people. How did that go for you guys in terms of preparing for a game in the mall in New Jersey?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing with prep. It's tough when you've never even experienced something in a mall. So we were figuring it out, but we were all excited for it. And, there's a lot of people that mix, feelings about it. But the people that were there, they feel the energy there. And I thought it was one of the greatest games ever. And if you notice on social media, it was viral. Multi-million follower pages are sharing it and they're posting it. TikToks and Twitter. I mean, millions and millions of views. So I think it was a great thing for the league, and it really showed, we're different from the other arena football leagues. Yeah,
it was interesting because, of course, everyone has an opinion, good or bad or different. They're legally able to have such, but looking at it from a casual fan perspective, I mean, walking through the mall, kind of cool.
Yeah.
Really, when you think about it.
Something different.
Yeah, and like, at the end of the day, it was a very competitive game, and we asked some questions of Gary Compton with AF1, and we hadn't realized that they actually had to modify the field goals to get them in there.
Oh yeah, they were shortening field goals because it wasn't big enough for them.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the greatest thing ever, and Nick had a blast there. I could tell.
Yeah.
What was one of your favorite parts of trying to have a football championship game in the mall?
Yeah. I'm just going to go back to the prep part. So I was chosen to go help out and direct the game because Christy wasn't there that day. So Christy, every day I was on the phone with her trying to figure out the timing and, everything about the script, like when the team's running out and everything. Christy did a wonderful job, made it very easy for me to kind of transform that to the field. I'm going to be honest, at first I really didn't know. I didn't know what to expect, right? And then as soon as I turned that corner and I saw the field, I'm like, all right, this is cool. So then once, the game got going and the fans were there, it was electric.
Awesome. Let's talk about some off-season events. Obviously, we're going to get started here February 20, I believe Damon said on the Flock U Coaches Show, which was last Wednesday at Apex. We'll give a little shout-out for Flock U Coaches Show. Talk about February 20th being the report date for players and that. So, we're coming up here pretty quick. What are some of the off-season stuff that you guys have done in terms of marketing and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
So events are really the big thing.
Right.
Doing the Flock U's every week is another huge thing. But promoting the hype for the season, promoting season tickets is a big thing. And prep is from the moment the season's over. We don't get a lot of time to kind of prep from right after the end of the season. So once that's over, we prep for the season, working on the game day program and working on the pass designs and working on, game notes for the broadcast and all this different stuff kind of going into it. It's a lot of it, and then going to events and stuff like that, promoting the events.
Yeah. Shout out to Zach Soden. He was, he was our in-game show. Yeah, Soden. He was our in-game show manager last year. Actually, just became one of our account executives. So shout out to Zach Soden. He did a wonderful job in the off season. Helping me get to place plays along with Ben. But I would probably send hundreds and hundreds of emails. Actually, a lot of responses, calls every day, just trying to get our name out there. We went for Center for Disabilities.
They always are a big sponsor of things in the Capital District. Center for Disability Services.
For sure.
I wanted to ask you too about Vice TV, but we talked about the game day stuff and how that's got to look in terms of that part of it. On your end, now instead of just dealing with our local guys, you're dealing with a national outlet. Just talk about how that may change and what you've done maybe in preparation for that so far, if anything so far.
Yeah. So with any broadcast from Vice and even CBS Sports last year, a lot of it was making sure we had the footage for them. So a lot of the times, if you watch the games, they'll show a clip from something else. So we would have footage from highlights from games, training camp, stuff like that. We put it in a drive. We send it over to the broadcast. They'll say if it's the right size and everything. So that's one part of it. Another part is the game notes. So Nick also helps out with flip cards and stuff like that.
I do the flip card. Ben does the game notes. So I'm the one to put in the jersey numbers and where they went to college, the heights. Ben does all of the stories.
The game notes is kind of like a packet where it says the standings, the stories about both coaches and the rosters and all that different stuff and stats. And
sometimes you see those. They'll show them sometimes for like the NFL guys, like Tony Romo's thing, and it's literally this big giant piece of paper with all the names and stories and everything.
Exactly.
And getting, the sideline reporters' passes set and getting all the people part of broadcast getting their set for passes and making sure once they get here they have their pass and everything's set for them. And if they have any problems or sometimes where they're like, oh, we need this last-minute footage, so we'll get it for them and stuff like that. That's how kind of it changes. If it was just on a different network, it'd be a little bit different for that, but broadcasters, yeah.
All right, yeah. I think if you have anything else,
I think
we covered a wide range of things with you boys today.
Absolutely.
First and foremost, thanks again, guys, for
Absolutely.
taking the time. This show the goal of this show is just kind of help people kind of know what kind of work goes into a team, because at the end of the day, and I think everybody at this table, I assume feels the same way. This is a big piece of the community, this team. So that is the goal of us, is to just kind of help people know the kind of people they're rooting for and the kind of people that are putting in the work to get it done. So again, thank you. And
No problem.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having
Love your applause
us.
again.
Thank you guys so much for having us. We really appreciate
Yeah,
being
I had
on.
a blast on this.
100%.
It was awesome.
Love the Nest.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.